Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Here to do the big June 2024 anniversary album anniversary list. I am working on 1992, getting through, but it's not coming today, I don't think. And then the Minnesota sports thing, I think I'll try doing next week. Pepe Deluxe, of course. So, but here's the list for this month, and I want to do a calendar update. I might have time to do that in a little bit after I finish this. I'm not sure, but we'll see. So this month has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. A bunch of them were on the same day, I count, on, you know, the All Media Reviews, mostly prog metal, progressive art rock album anniversary calendar, so of June for 2024. So the first one is tomorrow, June 1st. I'll just put this stuff here maybe. It's the second album and the final album, sadly, from the great sort of Western post-rock featuring violin and a very enigmatic, you know, very just kind of distinct vocalist. What was his name? Gavin DeBar, I believe. The second album from Clan Zoo, I'm talking about. I always think his name is Declan, but I think it's Gavin, who's now a screenwriter in Hollywood, actually. It doesn't say this. It's called Black Coats and Bandages, and I'm failing to say here. There it is. No, it is Declan. He's got the same name as Elvis Costello. I should always remember that. Gavin is the singer from Dredg, so it's Declan. I get compared to Dredg. Anyway, so it's Declan DeBara. Black Coats and Bandages. Which I like this album a lot. I mean, I feel like the two albums from Clan Zoo, Rua was the one that came out 2 years before, in 2002. This came out June 1st, 2004, according to what I found. It's a little darker, more gothic, you could say. Hence the like coloring, the black coats and bandages. It has a bunch of songs I really like, but man. But the one that I believe it's One Bedroom Apartment. Yes, track number 5 is the sort of the biggest standout among many standout tracks. I can't read. This is all in cursive and stuff. This is a bit challenging, but the piano arrangement on that is just, it's so good, and the impassioned vocals are just, it works. Anyway, I don't know, I'll be definitely talking about this when I do 2004 in, you know, X number of weeks or months. You know, so I'll have to maybe try to go a little more in detail. I don't think Clan Zoo, unfortunately, either of their records are on Spotify, but you can probably find it on YouTube. Maybe they have a Bandcamp. But anyway, great record from Black Coats and Bandages. Happy 20th anniversary tomorrow, June 1st. Released on June 1st in 2004. So next up, we get on June 4th, which is, just doing the math here, I always forget to pull up the stupid calendar. It's three days after that on, let me go to June here. On Tuesday the 4th, The Boss is probably his most commercially successful and most well-known record. I mean, Born to Run is pretty close, but Born in the USA was released June 4th, 1984. You know, my favorite song on this album is Bobby Jean, but I like a number of the tracks. I don't mind a lot of the hits. It's got I'm on Fire, which the Pointer Sisters covered, I believe. It also has Cover Me, which I think they also covered. And Dance in the Dark was a hit, of course. They filmed the video in St. Paul with Courtney Cox before anyone knew where she was at the St. Paul Civic Center. You know, I mean, there's a few others. I haven't listened to the whole thing in a while. Downbound Train, I'm Going Down. Glory Days, and it's a little slow. I don't love that track. And, you know, Born in the USA, the title track, of course, has always been perceived and misinterpreted as being like a patriotic American citizen, American war hero song. It's the opposite, really. But yeah, I mean, I like this album much more than Nebraska. Nebraska has a couple songs I like, and I even probably would put it above The River, but among the '80s Springsteen. But it's a classic as much as some people are sick of it, and it is kind of the face of his whole career. If you take one record, it's been talked about and covered. You know, like the Pointer Sisters thing I just talked about. Yeah, Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA. Happy, 40-year anniversary on Tuesday, the 4th of June. So next up we got 3 albums celebrating anniversaries on the 9th. Two came out the same day in progressive art rock. And why is my... Oh, here it is. So the first two... Yeah, where did... Oh, okay, no wonder. I should be doing this in the right order. So, yeah, because I'm gonna do this by year. So the first one came out in 2009, and that is the classic favorite among the Dredge fans. The Parrot, the Pariah, the Delusion, which came out June 9th, 2009, which I can say this was the album that came... I mean, I was a fan before Catch Without Arms came out, but that was really when I was becoming a fan. This album was anticipated for a long time. They finally were going to release it. It seemed like it took about 6 months, but at least the last 2 months it got pushed back at least once, maybe twice. So it could have come out in April or May, but as it was, the release that I found, I remember finding one CD copy, one of these CD copies. I have a couple copies of this. This one's shrink wrap at Cheapo, before, like an advanced promo. So here's my vinyl copy, which has a part that skips, I believe, on one of the tracks. But it's a great record. I mean, some people say it's sort of like a good combination of Catch Without Arms and El Cielo, the two previous records. Some ways it has their own. It's most polished production-wise, although, all the records sound pretty good, other than maybe Leitmotif. But I love so many songs on this record. Ireland, The Gathering Pebbles is a fantastic track. Quotes, what is it? The Information sounds kind of like U2, the guitar solo especially, but I'm just a sucker for it. It's very poppy. But there's a lot more, because there was a radio edit that got on something. They did a video for. The full version of Information's better than the version that some people heard. I don't know. Morning This Morning is dreamy and melancholy, because it's spelled morning, M-O-U-R. It was an Album of the Year contender the whole year in 2009. I'm not going to spoil what was my Album of the Year. Well, I can say it wasn't my Album of the Year in 2009 then. It might be now, actually. But we'll find out when I get to 2009. But, and the little, sort of vignette pieces, Pariah, the track. There's so many. It's without a bad track. So happy 15th anniversary to Dredge's The Pariah, the Parrot, the Delusion. Most people call it Pariah. I've saw some people call it something else, and it's like, that's not what the band even refers to it by short. The shorter, name for it or whatever. So that same, that same day, that's on the 9th. I didn't even look at the calendar here, which is Sunday, so a week from Sunday. Sunday is the 2nd. We're going to celebrate the Dredge album, and the 15th anniversary. So the 10th anniversary of two other releases on the same day came out June 9th, which would have been the 5th anniversary of Pariah. June 9th, 2014, you had Anathema's Distant Satellites. The second to last Anathema record. I really like this, even though they were going a little more electronic. I mean, that sort of 2010 era prog, progressive art rock. The Fill of Porcupine Tree Void Anathema on K-Scope record. My favorite track on here is, if I'm not mistaken, is Aerial. But the Lost Song 1 and 2, the self-titled song Anathema, the title track is great. It's dreamy. So great track. Again, when I get to 2014, this was high up on my... You can go back. I did a video at the end of 2014. It finished rather high on my list. So that same day, Sunday the 14th. Am I doing the math right here? Not Sunday. Sunday the 9th, rather. The 10th anniversary of one of my favorite EPs of all time. Really, the signature work of this artist named Fjokra. Irish artist. They eventually moved to Guy and band. I know this. I have like 3 copies. This is one of the cracked ones, but genre bending, combining lounge music, prog, kind of extreme metal of sorts, almost like Devin Townsend-like, jazzy elements, and just melodic pop. The guys from one of the guys from Duran Duran's even a fan. But Infinite Loops is just super catchy. To me, it's like the sequel to Shadow Self in some ways. People that like Kevin Gilbert could appreciate him, although there's even a little bit of rapping on this. But you could say Kevin dove a little bit into like the talking in his words and his lyrics. But Love, Thrust, Burn, the Old Time Nook has that sort of ragtime element combined with, it is almost like extreme metal, but it doesn't go too far off the deep end. The songwriting is still there. I talked about this in 2014. Unfortunately, with Fjokra, he's only released a couple of EP/singles since this came out in 2014. But anyway, happy 10th anniversary to Fjokra's Thought Steps. The same day of, which will be on Sunday the 9th of June, the same day we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Distant Satellites from Anathema, and Dredge's the 15th anniversary of Dredge's El Cielo. Dredge's the Pariah, the Parrot Delusion. El Cielo would be not until 2002. Anyway, so moving on, the day after that, on Monday the 10th of June, I don't have a physical copy, but Humphreys McGee's album Similar Skin, which I didn't write a lot of notes down, but all I remember about Humphreys McGee has been, they've been the Brett Saberhagen for a while there, where it was like one record I like, one record I didn't like so much, and this is one of the records I did like, but I didn't like it. Like, I loved, I did talk about that, I think, because 2009, back in January, Mantis, and there's another one on here I'm just about to talk about also, but I'd say this is probably maybe their fourth best record. The one that came out a couple years ago, I think I might like a little more. But Similar Skin had some heavy riffs. It wasn't jam band cliche-ish. It had enough going on compared to some of the other records, like Death by Stereo. I just thought was just very spotty. This was a little more consistent. But you know, I'm kind of taking some liberties about what records to celebrate anniversaries of. But Similar Skin came out literally the day after those two records in 2014. On June 10th. So happy 10th anniversary to Similar Skin from Humphreys McGee. It'll be on Monday the 10th of June. So on would be Wednesday the 12th of June, the post-rock band, sort of ethnic, making up their own language. One of their best, some people consider maybe their best record, Sigur Ros's Agaitis Berjan. The 25th anniversary of that, which was released originally, what I have, on June 12th, 1999. So this is the 25th anniversary. I'm not going to start to be able to name a lot of specifics about the tracks, but I found that this record kind of they kind of found their definitive sound, using some chamber instrumentation, very atmospheric, but it doesn't drag. I thought that this record and the Brackets record after really is peak Sigur Rós, and this is a great record. So happy 25th anniversary would be Tuesday, the 12th of June, to Sigur Ros's Agaitis Berjan. You could just say the second Sigur Rós record, or you could call it AB maybe. I don't know. So that's on the 12th of June. The day after that, and the 12th of June is on a Wednesday, the 13th of June, Thursday the 13th, yes. This is the only one that day. Pink Floyd's More, the soundtrack to the film, which I did see many years ago, probably like 20 years ago. I rented it from a video store. We still had those. It's not my favorite Pink Floyd album, but I tend to lean toward the pre-Dark Side stuff mostly with Pink Floyd, other than Animals. I like all their records for various reasons, almost all their records. But I appreciate this record a fair amount. It's not like a top 3. It might be in the top 6 or 7. I've never done a Pink Floyd album ranked. I should do one. But this came out on June 13th, 1969. So it's the 55th anniversary of, they did a Brisky Point. They did The Love of L.A., which was obscured by clouds. So they were making their money. And I think, what was it, Adam Hart Mother? Some of that was being used for a soundtrack. I forget. At least the suite was... there was a connection with someone making a soundtrack with that, but I should remember that now. Anyway, more, happy 55th anniversary on Thursday the 13th of June. My favorite song, I always think of this song first for Nile song, which I like. It's heavier. It doesn't sound like any other Pink Floyd song to me. But Cymbeline, Green is the Color, those are probably the biggest highlights for me. I thought there's an extra track or two. They have the main theme. So some of it is just kind of soundtrack-ish, but there's still songs on here. Cymbeline probably is the biggest highlight on here, but yeah, it's a good record, and it gets overlooked, although I found that it's starting to get appreciated a little more in recent years, so happy 55th anniversary to Pink Floyd's More. I don't remember where it finished on my 1969 list. It was probably not in the top 10, but it was definitely, top 20 if I had 20 records. I don't think I did, but it was in there. I should have included it if I did not. So, that was on the 13th of June. So on 2 days later, on the 15th, on Saturday the 15th, so it'd be, 2 weeks from tomorrow, we got it would be the 25th anniversary of the second Liquid Tension Experiment album from 1999, originally released on June 15th, 1999. You know, I kind of like the two records that came out. The only thing I remember about this record is that I remember seeing some stuff about it, but the summer of '99, I was not on the internet. I wasn't reading, keeping up to date with Dream Theater news nearly as much as I wish I had. So I remember people talking about this, even at the point, I think when I saw the Scenes from Memory tour, the whatever, in February. I don't know if I had this. Maybe the point when that Scenes from Memory came out, which was October of that year, they said, oh, there's another Liquid Tension Experiment album. Oh, and then Portnoy had that video. I found out later. It's like, you know, he's the new member. We just saw him, you know, on the tour, and he's on there. Another fantastic Liquid Tension Experiment. It's like, when did the second Liquid Tension Experiment album come out? Granted, I got the first one when that one came out, and I didn't play it a ton because I wasn't into instrumental music that much. Anyway, long story longer, long explanation as short as possible. This album features Acid Rain, By Accident, those, and When the Water Breaks. Really, there's not a bad track on here. I don't find it to be quite as sort of melodic and catchy as some of the tracks on the first album, but I think some of the instrumental prowess and sections are just as fun, if not better. But I mean, they're jams. A lot of it is jams, but it just totally works. I mean, there's some points that meander. Chewbacca, people love. I know that features a lot of Chapman Stick from 2011. So, anyway, happy 25th anniversary. When I get to 99, we'll see this comes, because I'm pretty sure both the LTE records are pretty high on my list. Not to spoil it too much, but they were at least. Not necessarily number one, but I mean, this came out the same year. This came out the same year as Scenes from Memory, so you have to figure. I don't know if this is going to beat Scenes from Memory. I'm not sure, but in some ways I prefer it. I'd listen to it more, actually. But anyway, as a whole, I know I played it on the radio in KFVI many years ago. So happy 25th anniversary to Liquid Tension Experiment 2, which came out June 15th, 1999. That will be on Saturday the 15th. Of course, we're going to have a 25th anniversary that tells you for Scenes from Memory as well, coming up in October. So on the 23rd, which would be the following, not the following Sunday, but the week after that Sunday. So it'd be 4 weeks from this Sunday. This is when there was 3 records, and there was actually more. There was one record that was supposed to come out that came out in July, in 2009. So a bunch of 15th anniversaries. Big, it's like you had this. This is like that peak period. So, but I'll go over the first one. I'll go one at a time here. So, the first one is The Deer Hunters, Act 3. I talked about this on the Act 3 stream a little bit. But, yeah, this is my deluxe edition, taking a beating. I don't even know if I have all the cards. It came with these cards and stuff, and with pictures of the war and stuff, with, the character, the main character hunter, going to war and stuff, what Act 3 talks about in some ways. But, yeah, this is a great record. It came out June 23rd, 2009. As my friend Josh from Heavy Debriefings coined it, International Prog Day. And I think we actually saw King Zex that day at Station 4 also. So there was all this prog stuff that was happening on June 23rd, 2009. But it's a great record. I mean, Deer Hunter doesn't have any bad records. And seeing that live version, I mean, made me appreciate it probably even more. I don't listen to it as much as some of the others, but I find it sort of a little more, I have tracks I prefer versus the whole thing, although I'll say that that's Life and Death is unbelievably good, and I hit me watching that stream last month that it would be fantastic if they would do an orchestral version of that track, because the motif is just dreamy. One of these days he's going to learn to love again. But, Mustard Gas, What It Means to Be Alone, let's see, Save is dreamy, is super poppy. Is it Saved or This Beautiful Life? I think I'm thinking of This Beautiful Life. Anyway, yeah, I mean, this is a record. It was the second like proper full length. They had the first record, which is like, it was a full length, but it's like a mini album. But this was a big deal when it came out because I was obsessed with them. I was this new to the Deer Hunter fan. I was into them before Act 2, but not long before that. And so it's like, we get another album. It wasn't quite as long as Act 2, but in some ways it was less is more, and it was more polished from a production standpoint. But yeah, it's a great record. It has the Axe sound, of course. So that same day, so happy 15th anniversary to Act 3. Why they did the performance with the stream probably. That same day, Dream Theater, of course, put out Black Clouds and Silver Linings, the last album with Mike Portnoy until they're going to put out the new one in the coming months, probably, since he rejoined. And I remember this. I was so excited for the Deer Hunter that this album wasn't as big of a deal, but it came out June 23rd, 2009, that same day that King's X saw King's X. It does have The Best of Times and The Count of Tuscany. I've talked about that. Those are both excellent tracks, both sort of epic in some ways, especially The Count of Tuscany. I don't make that much of the lyrics being kind of corny. That's super like, don't count your chickens, don't count your eggs don't count your cuskins. That holds the plot of that track. But that track has just some great dynamics, some great riffs, some great vocal performances from LaBrie, the vocal lines. A Nightmare to Remember, Rite of Passage are okay. I don't mind some of the growling that Portnoy did on both of those, but and Wither's decent. I mean, it's a decent record. It's worthy of celebrating the 50th anniversary at least of. So it tells you, this is the last album at that point with Portnoy. They did the one instrumental track, and it's been 15 years since he's been in the band almost. So, but anyway, that's coming up on my father's birthday actually, Sunday, June 23rd, which is not Father's Day actually. Father's Day is actually taking place. It's always the third Sunday in June. His birthday often falls on the third Sunday in June, but it's not. So I don't think the U.S. Open's final round. I think it's going to be the 16th. So anyway, celebrating Sunday the 23rd. I don't know if you're watching the Prague stream or maybe participating. I don't know, but I guess if I am, I have to bring up the anniversary of Dream Theater and of the Deer Hunter and this album. A personal favorite of mine. Connecticut's own prog metal, very prog rock, prog metal, skating the line between soundscapes, sort of comeback album of sorts, even though it was written and recorded in the 90s, but it wasn't up to the standards of the sort of mixing, and they were able to use Pro Tools. Soundscapes album, Grave New World. It's a tour de force, 76-minute, it sounds kind of like Fate's Warning and Fate's Warning and Marillion. It's got the elements. To me, I've always felt like they had something distinct, even though they do have a lot of qualities. The guitar work, the riffs are heavy at points. I love the dynamics. I love some of the concept behind this. Rob Volpentessa or Rob Thorne. He's in the band Sacred Oath. He's maybe well known for that band. That band's more of like a sort of a new wave of British heavy metal, old school metal, power metal-ish. But this is when they were doing the progressive stuff. Their debut album, Discover, I love from the 90s, and this was supposed to be the follow-up, but the mixing, they had an EP that had some of the songs on here, but I mean, The Server, Grave New World, Grave New World's like a novel, I forget who the author is, but so some of it's inspired and kind of embrace about technology, man versus machine, because he had an EP called Man versus Machine, embracing technology. I don't know if it was like 1984, I forget what, but the novelist who wrote Grave New World, and I know that, Iron Maiden had Brave New World? I can't remember, but Digital Lover is super catchy. There is a song called Man Machine, So Alone, Concentration, some of the dynamics, I don't know, the people that like Soundscape generally really like them like me, although I don't know if anyone got into them quite as much as I did. Mostly if you're a fan of Fate's Warning, if you're a Dream Theater fan or a Marillion fan, but Fate's Warning, that they covered Fate and Morgana, of course, on the tribute album. But I feel like there's a lot of people that just kind of feel like it's derivative, and I can totally understand that, but it wasn't derivative of me. I was listening to a lot of bands that sounded derivative, and they sounded at least a little different, that their music worked for me, and it was my favorite album for many months, because they sent me a promo copy months before it came out, back in it was February. I was just completely, my jaw was dropping how much I loved it. And the production is really good. It was, as much as they waited 10 years to release this thing and finish it, the production is really crystal clear. The bass work and the drum work you can hear. I mean, I don't know. It was an achievement for me, as much as it's super obscure, and I don't know if anyone's ever really going to catch on to them. They had released some songs a few years ago. I don't know if they're going to ever release another album. I would like them to. I don't know. I haven't been following them as religiously as I used to, but they're still in Connecticut. Luke Calderola, Scott. I didn't even mention the guitarist Todd Rose, who's done guitar clinics and stuff like that. But if you like prog metal, especially 90s prog metal, this is a band you probably could like. And this album, Happy 15th Anniversary, on the same day as another Dream Theater album and The Deer Hunter, coming up on the 23rd, on Sunday, the 23rd of June. So let's see here. We got a couple more left. before I can stop babbling and wrap this up. Prince, of course, Prince of the Revolution, Purple Rain was originally released on June 25th, 1984, so the same, just a few weeks after Born in the USA. So happy, it'd be the 40th anniversary of this monumental, one of the most famous, sold, this is like, the album's probably gone diamond. It's his signature album, and I've talked about it ad nauseam. I talked to him in the Minnesota prog list, of course, because I think he's kind of prog, even though he's not really prog, but Computer Blue is the highlight for me. It's the best track on here. I love a lot of the tracks on here, but the hits still hold up. Purple Rain, the song itself is decent. I don't know, but Take Me With You, Baby I'm a Star. There's a lot of just tracks that they're timeless and they hold up. I'm not sick of them. I Would Die for You. You just listen to the production. Wendy and Lisa's role in some of these songs. When Doves Cry is a standard. So happy 40th anniversary to coming up on Tuesday, June 25th, to Prince of the Revolution's Purple Rain, the soundtrack to the film, of course. And talking about King's X, I saw them on June 23rd in 2009. So just a few days later, on June 27th, Thursday, we're going to celebrate the 35th anniversary, yes, of their sort of signature, in some ways signature record, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska, from 1989. It was released originally on June 27th, 1989. Incredible concept album. I talked about it. I believe it was my number one album. It was my number one album from 1989. It's got maybe my favorite King's X song. I'll do the rankings at some point. All of the Silent Planet, the first song, which is the name of the previous record, of course, and a Lewis Carroll novel. Over My Head, Summerland, Mission, Pleiades. Everybody knows a little bit of something. It's a journey. It's sort of less is more, but the whole thing flows so well. It definitely is like kind of top heavy and then sort of bigger and better than some of its parts, because a lot of the deeper tracks kind of fit with the theme and the flow of the record so well. But I like every moment on this thing. I mean, I've always wanted to see them do it live, at least like a live version, but my first pressing there. So, all right, a couple more left. So I talked about Similar Skin a little while ago. That came out June 10th, 2014, 10th anniversary. We're going to also celebrate the 20th anniversary of Humphreys McGee's kind of breakthrough record in some ways. Portnoy was the one who talked about it first, which came out, this is Anchor Drops from 2004. It was released originally on June 29th, so it's celebrating its 20th anniversary on Saturday the 29th of June. It would be like whatever it would be, 5 weeks from tomorrow. 4 weeks from tomorrow. 4 weeks from tomorrow. Yeah, that would be too many days in the month. Anchor Drops. Great record. I don't like it quite as much as Mantis, the record from 2009, but it's still pretty close. Was it Plunger? That's the one that has that earworm that goes on the piano. You want to, I could never get that out of my head. That's the first track on here. I forgot about that. Jajunk Part 1 and Jajunk Part 2, Mulch's Odyssey, the title track. They were doing jam band, kind of bluesy rock with prog. I mean, they're kind of like Spock's Beard in some ways, but, they're not quite as overtly trying to capture the 70s sound. I mean, you could say, I don't know, this album I've always liked, although, I never got fully, obsessed with it. But I was like, yeah, it's a good record. Humphreys McGee. They're a jam band. They're considered a jam band, but they're kind of doing prog. They called it improg, but of course they do, jams. They go into prog songs sometimes live and everything. But, yeah, Anchor Drops is a great record. I want to get it on vinyl. I have some of the guys that signed it. I saw them on this tour. I want to say it was sometime January, February 2005. But, yeah, no, happy 20th anniversary coming up. 4 weeks from Friday on the 29th of June to Humphreys McGee. Right around that time, I'll probably be doing probably do it on the 1st, or maybe, probably on July 1st. I'm not sure, the July anniversary, so. And then the final one, I don't have a date. I mean, I could try looking it up quickly right now, but I don't know if I really should do that. But I have a month. And it's the second album, and a dramatic departure from the first album, based on vocal style and music style, even some of the membership changed. It's Fair to Midland's album, Interfunda Stifle, all in lowercase. And, well, this still was an independent release. It came out sometime in June of 2004, probably at like shows and stuff like that. It includes a lot of songs that were re-recorded for Fables from a Mayfly, but then a bunch of songs that were not. And it's a combination of the songs that were not are all really good. Pretty much all of them. Between Keats, Granny Niblo, and Timbuktu. I think those are the big ones. And When the Boat Breaks. Yeah. But then it also has like these little interludes with synthesizers and stuff like that. Those are all good. But then at the same time, like, it also has Orphan Anthem 86, which was not on... It was not on... I don't know if they recorded a version. They probably did. On Fables from a Mayfly in 2007 with David Bottrill. But it was on the Drawn and Quarter EP, the demo. But there's still a difference. And I appreciate each version between, you know, Dance of the Manatee, vice versa. I have actually always preferred the vice versa almost a little bit on this one. I don't know. We used to see comments. I used to be on the Fair to Midland fan message board about people that would talk about both records and how the versions were different, and so that each version... I mean, these are hardcore fans. The people mostly... They weren't all from Texas. So this says June 5th. So, I mean, I'm kind of doing some backtracking here. When I originally did this, I could not find a date. So this would be... The 20th anniversary would be celebrated just in a few days. It'd be, what, next... Wednesday, maybe? When is the 5th? Yes. Anyway... It's a record I've always revered. Even at the point I was obsessed with Fables from a Mayfly, I still would listen to it. It's a weird case where, I mean, Mew, 3, there's a couple other bands like that where they have songs on multiple albums, and I like each one version of the song. Kevin Gilbert, of course. I don't know if there's a better example of that where I still would listen to this version and like the version on here for some reason. Darrow sounds different, even though he sounds much cleaner. He's not doing the kind of extreme, kind of out there kind of, you know, growling, or he's not even growling, like hardcore screaming he did on, and not like gibberish nonsense on the debut album, the Carbon Copy Silver Line, which I've never... The CD, they were selling CD copies when they reissued it, and they were going for like $80 a pop, and I couldn't justify buying it. But anyway, happy 20th anniversary on the 5th of June, I guess it is, which would be this next Wednesday, to Fair to Midland's sort of breakthrough from 2004, Inter Funda Stifle. So what's your, what anniversary albums are you celebrating this month? Among all those, which ones are the albums you like, are you into? But anyway, like I said, I got 1992 coming up. I want to do a calendar update. I might not, might have to wait till next week, along with 92. Pepe Deluxe, of course, the Minnesota sports stuff. I know the Timberwolves lost last night, but I have comments about that and just the whole process. But again, thank you for watching. Have a good weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next time.